All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We've Read the Documents live stream. Your host, John Brisson. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you want to support my work, BobMadeCoffee/We've Read. There's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the comment section. Try to get up $25 today if all possible. God bless each and every one of you. If you want to subscribe to We Read the Documents, search We Read the Documents on Odyssey, Patreon, Substack, Rumble, and YouTube. Substack gives you the greatest access to my content. You get access to my written work, as well as subscriber-only streams. Patreon gets access to subscriber-only streams as well, too. And you get access to be able to listen to my live streams in audio format on your favorite podcast player. And it's another way to support my work as well, too, and donating to me is, buying a subscription, $5 a month on Patreon, $5 a month on Substack, or $50 a year on Substack. And my fellow brother in Christ and I, Jeremy Stone, have a Christian podcast, By Their Fruits. Listen wherever you listen to your podcasts generally on. So I listened to some clips and listened to some of Trump's speech, and I think I covered the one last year, I think, or maybe one previously, of his speech at the Family and Fellowship National Prayer Breakfast. And oof, boy, let me tell you. Oof. And so it was so bad. And if anybody watches it and thinks Trump's a Christian, I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. I literally have nothing for you. Okay? He's not. All right? He doesn't even understand that we're saved by God's grace through our faith. He doesn't even understand the gospel. Trump is not a baby Christian. He's not a Christian at all. All right. It was so bad that Council for National Policy member Eric McTaxas, who I've criticized a lot through various streams on this channel, wrote, "Didn't anyone on the president's team advise him that the National Prayer Breakfast is a prayer breakfast? Didn't someone write a speech for him? What's going on? I think they need me to bring me in to help. It's that bad. I love my country and will serve if called." Yeah, it is and was that bad, which is why I'm going to stream it. And I want to thank, I see Carson Lineberger in the chat. God bless you, brother. He had sent me this stream. Paula White, the so-called, pastor, the apostate pastor, right? Unification Church Paula White, right? She says, Trump's a goat.
It is my great honor to introduce, and I think I can say this not as senior advisor, but as his friend, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the greatest champion of faith that we have ever had in the executive branch, the 45th and 47th president. Stand to your feet and give him the biggest welcome of the United States, a man I am honored to call friend, President Donald J. Trump.
So that is the false pastor, quote unquote, Paula White, okay, who is nar and heretical to the hilt, all right, and she is the head of the United States Trump-appointed National Faith Office, okay, this heretic woman, quote unquote, pastor, okay, and she is introducing Trump as the GOAT. Now, GOAT in modern vernacular means the greatest of all time. But let's just say Trump is the beast, right? He is the Antichrist, right? I'm not 100% sure, but, if he is, he's the GOAT, right? And so then not only that is she going to call him the GOAT, right? He's the GOAT, right? Not only that, she's going to have the gall to say that he is the strongest defender of Christian faith out of all the presidents we've ever had in the history of America, and his faith is the strongest, right, chap? It's the strongest, right? So when we listen to Trump at the National Prayer Breakfast, he's going to give the gospel, and he's going to read, some of his favorite Bible verses, right, in depth, and he's going to spend majority of the time that he's up there for an hour plus at a National Prayer Breakfast, right? I understand the National Prayer Breakfast is run by the Family and the Fellowship, okay? I understand that really, and all it is just the Family and the Fellowship getting together and asserting dominance on Capitol Hill and the Council for National Policy being evolved and the Heritage Foundation. Like, I understand all that, all right? But this is supposed to represent a national prayer breakfast to God, right? All these Christians, even though it's highly ecumenical, even universal, coming together to pray to who? And I'm not saying that there's no Christians there to be found at all, okay? However, the Christians that are there, they're under some sort of delusion. You shouldn't be there, all right? But I digress. But, they're at the National Prayer Breakfast, right? And so Paula White, the heretic herself, she introduces the GOAT, Donald John Trump. So here's Trump. Trump's speech is roughly about an hour and 21 minutes. And yeah, Trump is really good. He's really good about, I don't know, maybe he breaks out the Bible and starts reading, John, the gospel that the Apostle John wrote, so you know what you can do to be saved, that you can become born again, right? Maybe he's like, hey, I'm just going to read the gospel of John, right, in the hopes that you can get saved just like me. Now let's chat. What do you think Trump's going to do? Do you think Trump's going to put in a few written platitudes about God and Jesus and then spend a majority of the hour and 21 minutes talking about him and his accomplishments and magnifying himself in his own heart and magnifying himself to the crowd? Which one do you think? Trump is so unbelievably humble, isn't he? He's not vile. Right? He's unbelievably humble. So he's going to, lead a good 5 to 10 minute prayer on his needs for the country and for everybody that's there. And, he's going to read from the Gospel of John, and he's going to, read his favorite Bible verses and give a dissertation on the gospel and a call for people to believe. He's going to do all that, right? Right? No. Like I said, he's going to spend a majority of the time just talking about himself and his accomplishments and how great he is. Not any credit to God and not any credit to Jesus, because he doesn't believe in God and Jesus and he just magnifies himself. But, I digress. There's quite a few pastors out there and Christians who think that this man is born again. But it was so bad that CMP Eric Metaxas had to run cover for Trump. Come on. Any Christians that are out there listening who think this is a man of God, think Donald Trump's a man of God, that Donald Trump's born again, that Donald Trump has a relationship restored through Jesus Christ with God the Father, that he's filled with the Holy Spirit, enough. This is it's bad enough that CMP Eric Metaxas has to run cover. Y'all get this? Y'all understand? Is that bad? And I know I ain't talking to my general audience. Y'all get this. I'm talking about the random people that come in here I still support Donald Trump, okay? And think he's a Christian. I know quite a few people in my own personal life. I live in North Carolina, for God's sakes, okay? So, of course I do, all right? And you just show them this stuff and you talk to them and it goes in one ear and out the other. There's no entertaining it. The cognitive dissonance sets in. So, let's start. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't hear it. Maybe for 15 or 20 minutes in the middle of it, I listened to some of the beginning and listened to some of the end when it was live, and I missed some of the middle. So maybe, well, let's start. Let's go ahead and start, chat. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to Pastor Paula. Paula's an incredible woman. She's been with me a long time.
Pastor Paula, incredible woman, chat.
Right from the beginning. This is a beautiful American tradition, and it's a true honor to be back with so many incredible leaders and people of faith at the National Prayer Breakfast. I think I've been here just about every time. It's hard to turn it down. I don't have the courage to turn it down. Sometimes I want to. Come back from a horrendous trip fighting people that can't stand us, keeping us out of wars.
Sometimes I want to, right? That's a theme. That's a theme today, that Trump doesn't want to be around Christians. And Trump can't be bothered with prayer, right? He can't be bothered with being around Christians, and he can't be bothered with prayer. Why would he not want to come here where these people supposedly like him, and some of them may even hold him as an idol, right? Why, of all the places, would he not want to be here? Really think about that, okay? And think about throughout this speech what he says, and I'm probably going to have to cover this on multiple streams, okay? But really, just listen to him. If you still think he's a Christian, if you still think he's born again, if you still think he's even a baby Christian, he's infant in the faith, right? He's on, the milk and not on the meat, all right? Even though it's been years, and he supposedly has all these faith advisors like Paul White, and I know Paul White's a heretic, but come on now. John, how dare you say something like that about Paul White, all right? But just let's see.
Seeing things that nobody would believe that anybody would see. And last time I came, I got in at 4 a.m. They said, "Sir, you're going to be speaking at 7." I said, "Really? Oh, that's wonderful." I said, "Where?" "National Prayer Breakfast." I said, "I'll be there. I'm afraid not to be. I need all the help I can get."
He's all the help he gets to get to heaven, right? More on Trump going to heaven in a little bit. All right. Notice Trump's tie. Trump usually wears a red tie when he goes to war, or blue when he's trying to be more reflective and conciliatory, but he wears purple. Well, purple is a royal color, right? Purple is also the seventh-fold ray color of Saint Germain. Now, I'm not saying it's either or. Purple is considered to be, for a tie, a diplomatic color, okay? But I'm just saying. This is John's esoteric tie decodes, okay? little joke in there, a little joke, all right.
And I never get a fair break from the fake news, which is back there. That's a lot of fake news. Because last time I was having a lot of fun. We had a big crowd. We had 60,000 people, and I'm talking about the fact that I will never make it to heaven. I will never, ever. And I was being funny. I was trying to be, you can't be sarcastic with them because they write your words, and they don't. The people who are reading the words are much different. But I say, I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify. I don't think there's a thing I can do, but all of these good things I'm doing, including for religion. Religion's back now hotter than ever before.
All these good things I'm doing. Not that I believe that Jesus Christ is the one and only Savior. Not that I'm a sinner. I need a Savior. Jesus Christ is the perfect. He was born of a Virgin Mary. He suffered under Pontius Pilate. He was, crucified as the sinless one who committed no crime, right? And then he held captivity captive, and now he's sitting on the right hand of God the Father, resurrected after 3 days, right? Believing on the Lord Jesus Christ as the perfect, right? Because we all fall short, myself included. Don't look to me. Certainly don't look to Donald Trump. Look to God. Look to Jesus. Rely on the Holy Spirit. I only want to know, what does Paul say? Let me get the exact verse. 1 Corinthians 2:2, right? For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified, right? But no. And not only that, he didn't say, imagine the arrogancy of someone to say, I brought back Christianity. Like, Jesus and God need someone's help. Right? But no, he doesn't say that. He says, I bring back religion. And religion's back now and hotter than ever. But what religion? Because in Christianity, they're all false. But what's taught in the Bible? But besides Christianity itself, all other religions are false. And they all don't, they can't coexist. They contradict. So, But, whatever. Being too harsh, right?
You have to tell. But I said, even though I did that and so many other things, I named things, I said, I won't qualify. I'm not going to make it to heaven. And the New York Times did a front page story that Donald Trump is questioning his life and the meaning of his life. No, I was just having fun. I really think I probably should make it. I mean, I'm not a perfect candidate, but I did a hell of a lot of good for perfect people.
This is how I get into heaven. Quote by Donald Trump. I did a hell of a lot of good. Hold on. For perfect people. Well, first of all, no one's perfect. Who's he talking about? We all fall short, right? There's not one good, not one. Okay. But I'm going to heaven because I did a hell of a lot of good for perfect people. We're already starting. We're 2 minutes in. Okay. Doesn't understand the gospel. Doesn't understand anything. 2 minutes in. So let's go.
That's for sure. Right, Mr. Speaker? But I want to thank the...
And looking at Mike Johnson as being the perfect, where Mike Johnson should say, no, I'm not the perfect. Jesus is the perfect. But, you know.
Dozens of members of Congress here this morning, including a man of immense faith and immense talent. He's a very talented man. He's a small minority. It's just really, because we go back and forth between minority and majority, and half the time we're minority and we still win. How do we win with a minority? You know, we have a couple of people that I consider to be negative, but we're one.
He's talking about the Republicans that don't vote for what he wants. Thomas Massey being an example. Well, I'm no fan of JBS Massey, but DeMolay Massey, but, you know, that's who he's referencing to, among others.
2 up. Sometimes we're 3 up. In fact, we'll have 2 more victories very soon. We'll be 3 up. And we consider that having a massive majority, okay? Right, Mike? That's considered, we're not spoiled. Can you imagine if we ever picked up like 20 or 30 seats? Wouldn't that be pretty? That'd be too easy. I think it would be too easy. It wouldn't be fun. I get these calls from Mike. Sir, could you speak to so-and-so 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, we have 2 types. We have the type that goes along with us and believes in us, and they're with us all the way. And that, I would say, is 95%, right? And then we have the type that needs a little love all the time, no matter what it is. For the easiest thing on religion or republicanism, the easiest thing to pass, they always make it difficult, but they always get there. But I have to call them always at 3 in the morning. I'll always get that call. Sir, Speaker Johnson's going. So I get hi, Mike, what's up? What time is it? So it's 3 in the morning. So we have 9 names giving us difficulty. They want to have a phone call. I said, all right, let's go. Here we go.
All right, let's start the countdown clock. I think I had to do this last time, you guys. Let's start the countdown clock till we get any semblance of him, you know, reading off the teleprompter and anything that would have to remotely do with Christianity. All right? So right now we're 4 minutes in. Carson, if you could keep the clock. My friend, my fellow brother in Christ, we're 4 minutes in.
Same 9 all the time, right? You know? So I call up. I say, Chip, how you doing, Chip? Hello, sir. Sir, I can't quite get there. I just don't know. Could I come over for breakfast? You know, we have a 9 o'clock vote, right? I said, really? Is it not? Sir, you got to get me there, sir. Let's have breakfast, Chip. Great. Then I get others. Pretty much.
I believe that is Republican Congressman Chip Roy, I think.
Name 9. I don't want to name too many, but I would. And they always get there. We have one that doesn't get there. We have one guy. He's an automatic no. No matter what. If we did welfare reform, if we did the greatest thing in history for religion.
I believe that's Thomas Massey.
No matter what we did, no matter how good it is, greatest tax cuts, and we just did the greatest tax cuts in history. He voted against. He voted. Now, no matter what we do, this moron, no matter what it is.
Thomas Massey is a moron. Look, I'm no fan of Thomas Massey, but we are 5 minutes in at a national prayer breakfast, and a moron. Okay.
We could put them all together. I think, Mike, what would you say the top 5 things? Name them. We'll put them in one bill, and we'll put them before we get 100% vote, except for this guy named Thomas Massey. There's something wrong with him. We call him Rand Paul Jr. You know, it's like they just vote no. They love voting no. They think it's good politically. The guy's polling at about 9%. It's not good. But we have great support, and we have great support for religion. You know, I've done more for religion than any other president. When Paula was saying
I've done more for religion than any other president.
that it was so nice, I was proud of it. And I said, that's true. I told the people backstage. What she said is true. Who else would say that, right? But it is true. But then I said, but that's not saying much, because not too many presidents have done too much for religion. I want to tell you that. Certainly modern day presidents, they bailed out on you. They bailed out. They want to be neutral. They want to be neutral or against. You know, the Democrats are against. I don't know how a person of faith can vote for a Democrat. I really don't.
Right-left paradigm, right-left politics. I don't vote at all. My values align with what we could consider to be conservatism, especially socially conservative. I just believe that just to be biblical. my ideals are biblical, but you know, 6:30.
And I know we have some here today, and I don't know why they're here, because they
Look, I ain't saying that Bush or Obama or Clinton or any of them were born-again Christians either, okay? But for Trump to say, you know what, maybe Trump has done more for religion, false religion, put it out there.
certainly don't give us their vote. I certainly know that we're not going to be convincing them to vote for a little thing called voter ID. It polls at 97%. And even the Democrat, the people, the voters, are at 82% for voter ID, but the leaders don't want to approve it. They said they will strike. They will not allow it to happen. It's polling at over 90%. It's called voter identification. When you go to the polls, you show, yes, my name is so-and-so, and I live in the country. I'm here. I can vote. They say, that's not allowed. And no, everyone's trying to figure it out. And they do something to win. You know what it is? They cheat. But let's get on to another subject. No, at that, they're the finest, probably anywhere in the world, I would say. But we're trying to pass voter ID and other things having to do with your religion. And getting the Democrats to vote is very, very tough. But we're
7 minutes and 30 seconds in, talking about technocratic voter ID.
We're grateful to the co-chairs of the breakfast, Representatives Ben Klein and Jonathan Jackson and Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to thank a man who's been with me for a long time. We've been friends, and I used to be interviewed by him, and all he wanted to talk about was war. I said, this guy, you know, he's very smart, went to the top schools, was a top student. He's like me. I was a very good student, too, but nobody would think so, you know. And nobody thinks Pete was a good student. I don't know. They think of him as a tough cookie, a flamethrower, which I like, actually, in the position of Secretary of War. But he has done some job. Pete Hegseth. You know, he was very popular. He turned down a very large 5-year extension contract for millions of dollars a year. Oops, I don't want to say that. Your wife is here. She's saying, are you crazy? He's got the greatest wife. But it's true that Pete has just been incredible. And I used to go and be interviewed at Fox and Friends. You remember those beautiful days? And I'd say, what do you want to talk about? So I want to talk about releasing about 25 prisoners. They have arrested American soldiers because they taught them how to fight, and they fought really well, and they won every battle. And now they put them in jail because they said they were too tough. I said, so how many are there? 22. And some of these guys were they were fairly tough, wouldn't you say, Pete? But, you know, it's true. We teach people how to fight, and then you put them in jail because they fought a little bit too hard. And we took care of a lot of business, but that's all. We didn't talk about the normal things that a interviewer would be talking about, right? But I saw that, and I saw his love for the military. That was obvious. He was always looking to protect soldiers. And I said, you know, he's a really smart guy. If I ever get this thing, I got to get it. It wasn't easy, you know. They rigged the second election. I had to win it. Had to win it. I needed it for my own ego. I would have had a bad ego for the rest of my life. Now I really have a big ego, though. Beating these lunatics was incredible, right? What a great feeling. Winning every swing state, winning the popular vote.
10 minutes in, just how great America is and how great Trump is, but especially due to Trump, that's how great America is and how bad other people are that stand in his opposition. 10 minutes.
The first time, you know, they said I didn't win the popular vote. I did. But they said, so they'd always say, they would always thought they'd introduce it. While Donald Trump did not win the popular vote, you know, I'm sitting up being introduced by a Democrat or somebody. And they said, why Donald Trump did not win the popular vote. He won the presidency. Here he is. I said, that was terrible. I said, and we won the popular vote by a lot. We didn't want to play any games. This has been a much different. We had a great first term. We had the greatest economy in history, but this one's going to blow it away. Already it's blown everything away. We have $18 trillion coming into our country, blowing everything away. But we had a great first term. We rebuilt the military. You know, Biden gave a little chunk of it to Afghanistan brilliantly. He left tanks and planes and, you know, little things. I said, why didn't you fly the planes out? He said, well, nobody thought of it. You could have flown. He said, it's very hard to remove the equipment. Really? You couldn't fly an airplane? They buy $150 million brand new airplane. Sir, I think it's better to leave it. Why? It's more cost effective. So we leave them a brand new jet. I said, these people are crazy. But we have it under control now like you've never seen, and our military has never been stronger. And you saw that with the B-2 bombers in Iran, and you saw it recently with Venezuela, where we're getting along fantastic.
Mouth of a lion, right? Mouth of a lion, you guys. Boasting and blasphemy and, you know, the way that he's just vile and the way that he talks about people, right? 12 minutes.
With leadership, really become a great relationship. I don't think there's been anything quite like it ever. In fact, we have 50 million barrels of oil floating right now over to Houston, and we're working with them really well. I don't think I've ever seen anything. The cooperation that we have and it's great for them because they were in big trouble economically, and yet they have more oil than any other country in the world, I think, except us. But they have more oil just about than any. And by the way, us and them, we have 68% of the world's oil. Now, I know that doesn't mean too much to people of great religion. I know you want to hear about, but you know, we got to keep our country strong. And
great. First of all, great religion, huh? Okay. But yeah, I mean, I know it's ecumenical and universalist at the National Prayer Breakfast. Okay. But you don't. I know you don't want to hear about my great accomplishments and how much oil we have, right? I know you'd rather hear about God stuff. All right, but hold on, I'll get to that when it's important. I got to finish about how great I am and all the great things that I've done.
We're doing really good, but that's been an amazing operation. I would say when people saw that, I was just talking to a great leader from El Salvador, and he said, man, that was some attack. I've never seen anything like that one, right? Right, that was good, even by your high standard, right? That was a hell of an attack. But we have a great country. We have tremendous leaders. We have a fantastic cabinet. We have unbelievable bench, and one of them is Attorney General Pam Bondi, who may be here. Where's Pam? Is she here? Where are you, Pam? where, say she wants to keep it nice and low-key. You're really catching fire, by the way, Pam. You know, they were saying...
Just a little bit of background. The 74th National Prayer Breakfast Annual Gathering takes place February 5th, 2026. The unique event will be called the International Prayer Breakfast, as 3,500 people travel from 100 nations and 50 states gathered in Washington, D.C., where for 3 days, Christians, Jews, Hindus, and Muslims set aside their political and religious differences in the spirit of Jesus. Probably the spirit of the Antichrist. The basic principles of Jesus become the main topic of speakers and discussion groups. For many, these days are the busiest days of the year. Yeah, they're really getting down to biblical doctrine, sound biblical doctrine chat. It seems a whole bunch of networking to me. As the event begins, a unique opportunity to reconnect with people they know from across the globe, making it a global event. It's not uncommon to meet people who will become lifelong friends from this time forward. For some, the deep theological dive into Jesus' prayer for unity may be difficult to grasp, but as the prayer breakfast, amazingly, that's what happens. Most Christians come away with a deeper understanding of how to share Jesus without reservation with friends and strangers. Yeah, this is, oh boy. This ain't Jesus Christ. This ain't Jesus of the Bible. This isn't, Jesus the Son. Okay, no. This is a different Jesus. This is a different Jesus. President Eisenhower attended the first National Prayer Breakfast in 1953. Every year, the sitting president has followed President Eisenhower's example by attending the event and addressing those who attend. The history of the National Prayer Breakfast reveals a spiritual thread of men and women throughout generations who carried a vision to reach those in positions of power, who in turn would turn to reach the poorest of the poor. It's not uncommon for the International Foundation, the nonprofit that sponsors the National Prayer Breakfast. The family and the fellowships now calls itself the International Foundation. To host leaders on a regular basis, always encourage them to be strong moral leaders who embrace the teachings of Jesus. Embracing the teachings of Jesus, right? Don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. Don't have faith. They embrace the teachings of Jesus. There's a lot of New Agers that embrace the teachings of Jesus. They don't believe Jesus is God. They don't believe Jesus is the Savior. They don't believe that Jesus is Lord. They believe in the teachings of Jesus. Most of the time, it's another Jesus and a Jesus of their own construction. Prominent question posed at most dinners is, what are you doing to help the poor in your nation? Which, as Christians, it's very important to donate to the poor and to help the poor and to feed the poor and have empathy and sympathy for the poor. Don't get me wrong at all. Okay? We're called to do so. But this is a National Prayer Breakfast that you would think, again, if it's Christians, they're going to discuss the gospel and the Bible, but it's not. It's universalist. So you think the Christians that were there, even though it's ecumenical and universalist, would think they'd spend the time there to actually preach the gospel, but they don't. It's about networking and who's who and all that, right? Another National Prayer Breakfast influencer was Abraham Variety. And Mr. Variety was a strong influence on Doug Coe, who in 1969 took the leadership of the International Foundation, the nonprofit that sponsors the NFB. Well, what did Abraham Variety and Doug Coe, what was Doug Coe involved with? Oh, that would be the Family and the Fellowship, which is the International Foundation. And all of this is about politics and politricks. Politics and politricks. Uh-oh. We got a question. Who's praying on that wall, chat? Who's praying on that prayer wall? So there you go. Now you know what this is. You can go watch Jeff Shartlett's documentary on the family on Netflix. Jeff isn't I don't think he's a born-again Christian. I don't agree with his, all of his conclusions about it. However, if you want to know what they are really about, which is power and politics and geopolitics and parapolitics, has nothing to do with Jesus Christ, has nothing to do with the Great Commission, has nothing to do with spreading the gospel, has nothing to do with making disciples, has nothing to do with discipleship or any of that, has nothing to do with it. Its primary goal is politics, power, and money and influence. So that's why you can understand they have this blasphemous man up here giving a so-called speech, the National Prayer Breakfast, and had every other president beforehand, a man that might be the Antichrist, Donald John Trump.
About Kristi Noem yesterday, I did the Super
13 minutes.
Bowl interview. Sir, are you going to relieve Kristi Noem of her duties? No. Oh. I said, why would I do that? We have the strongest border in the history of our country. We have the best crime numbers we've ever had. Going back to the year 1900, that's 125 years, we have the lowest crime numbers, despite the fact that this horrible, world's worst president, this is the worst president we've ever had, Biden. He had no idea he was president, so he doesn't take it personally. I don't want him to take it personally. Fortunately, he has no idea what the hell I'm saying. And he's watching right now. He's happy with what I just said. Okay, this is what we had running our country. But no, he was our worst president. We had some bad ones. We had Obama was very bad, terrible divider of our country. He was a divider. And believe it or not, we're bringing the country together. You know what's bringing it together? Tremendous success. We're having tremendous success. We have more investment being made in our country now than any country has ever had by many times. You go back 10 years, a certain country, not us, $3 trillion. We have in 11 months, because the 12th month is coming out next week, we have $18 trillion of investment coming in. The biggest ever was 3 many years ago. And one of the reasons for it is Secretaries Doug Burgum and Doug Collins. They are drilling like, my whole thing was drill, baby, drill. Where are they sitting? I love those two guys. Come on, stand up. And is Catherine there? That's Catherine. Yes. Hi, Catherine. Chris. What they are drilling like nobody. I spoke with Chris yesterday, Doug. I said, how we do? Sir, we're drilling more oil than anybody's ever drilled by double, right? By double. We're doing it. That's why I was in Iowa last week with the farmers who were doing very well. We just handed them $12 billion out of tariff money because they were taken advantage of by foreign countries, various foreign countries. And I said, how much was it that they got hurt for? $12 billion. I said, good, let's write them a check. I gave the farmers $12 billion. And they don't even want it. They just want to be treated fairly. But we're getting it from that, but we're getting it with nobody's ever in history, and we've never done it either, like anywhere close. We're taking out more energy out of our beautiful land, oil and gas, clean oil and gas. And I always say, clean, beautiful coal. You know, the only thing I told these two guys they have to do, because they're the greatest energy people in the world, the best. I said, when you mention the word coal, anytime you mention coal, C-O-A-L, anytime you mention it, has to be preceded by 2 words, clean and beautiful. So Doug was making a speech the other day, and I sort of tried to pass a note, because he mentioned coal about 40 times, and he kept saying, clean, beautiful coal, clean. It really only works a few times, right? I said, no, when you say coal, clean, beautiful. You know, we buy all that wind from, we don't anymore.
16 minutes in, the mentioning of hell over and over and over again. Granted, Biden ended his 2024 one with the mentioning of hell. And look, I'm not saying that like Biden or Obama or Bush or any of them give their prayer breakfast speeches. I'm not saying that they're, they do a lot of this praising themselves and praising the country too, but not the degree that Donald John Trump does. And on top of that, his just disdain just disdain for Christianity. Like, it's different. I don't really know what to say, but it's different.
So we haven't approved anything in wind, right, Doug? Nothing, because it's just it's a quick way to losing money, losing beauty, losing your fields, killing your birds, and other than that, it doesn't work. And Europe is getting, Europe is so bad with the windmills; they're destroying their country with wind. And I was over there. It's not even recognizable what they've done. They've got a big problem on their hands between immigration and energy. Europe is destroying itself, and they better get smart. And I love them all. I'm friends with everyone of every country over there. I've helped them a lot. Got the GDP up from 2% to 5%, which is, for spending, for military spending. Nobody thought that was possible. Nobody thought 2% was possible. Got them to 5%. But it's not recognizable, Europe. If you go through the different cities, it's a very sad thing. And I tell it, I went over to Davos, they invited me, and when I left, they said that may have been the stupidest invitation we ever gave to somebody, Switzerland. But they have to, I just say it like it is, they're destroying their country. Their energy is ridiculous, what they've done, and the immigration is, I'm telling you, it's a place where many of these countries are not recognizable, and I'd like to see them straighten it out. Very soon, it's going to be impossible for them to straighten it out. We have our Director of National and International Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's doing a great job. Where's Tulsi? She took a lot of heat 2 days ago because she went in at Pam's insistence. She went in and she looked at votes that want to be checked out from Georgia. They say, why is she doing it? Right, Pam? Why is she doing it? Because Pam wanted her to do it. And you know why? Because she's smart. And they said, well, this has to do, her position has to do, it's really not so, but her position has to do with international. I say, well, the same people that said that, they've been saying Russia, Russia, Russia has been screwing our elections, okay? So let's assume Russia had something to do with it. They say, no, Russia didn't have. So now they're saying Russia had nothing to do with it. Because if I say Russia, that it's perfectly fine. But you could add China and about 5 other.
About 20 minutes in, I'll maybe in a future stream, if I feel like getting around to it, I'll play one of Obama's. And obviously, Obama wasn't a Christian. I don't think he was. Just like I don't think Biden was. Just like I don't think the Bushes were. But there is a difference. It's still universalist. It's still false. But at least, and you could say at least with Trump, he's not being fake. But the difference is there's a lot of born-again Christians who say that Obama wasn't. A lot of them thought Bush was. But a lot of born-again Christians think Trump is. They think he's a Christian, and they think that what he's saying is no different. Like, let's say that I gave you 2 speeches, and one was Obama's and the other was Trump. Now, Obama's still too universalist. I'd have to probably go back to, like, Bush. Get one of George W. Bush's prayer breakfast speeches and put it next to Trump's. No, because that won't really work either with the point I'm trying to get across. But it's just different. Or take Biden's. Like, they spend time, I'm not saying it's legit, but they spend time talking about, like, faith and what faith is, and even though it's wrong, they're at least giving lip service to it, and they're saying their favorite Bible verses and their favorite Psalms and what they want to pray for and what their prayers are for the country and stuff like that and everything. And, like, there's literally nothing with it with Trump other than when he's reading off a teleprompter, and it doesn't even look like he's really going to do it this time, which was so bad, the reason why Eric Metaxas had to run cover. Okay? And look, I get it, maybe, and I would understand people in the chat saying, well, at least Trump ain't faking it. Yeah, but a lot of Christians think he is. And it speaks to volumes of modern day discernment with the body of Christ and how much they've turned it down. And, Christians have the like a basic idea of discernment. They have the Holy Spirit in them. But, the gift of discernment is different. The gift of discernment is spirits, right? So it's just, this is a sign. It's a sign of the times that we live in, that people think that this man is a born-again Christian. They think this man's a godly man, but he's not. But just because they don't agree with Obama's politics or Biden's politics, somehow they're not, but they're all cut from the same cloth when it comes to Christianity. And it's all fake, but for some reason he gets a pass. And you could argue George W. Bush gets a pass, and I get that, but he doesn't get a pass as much as Trump does. At least George W. Bush could fake it better. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense.
The country's doing. But she's done a great job, and Pam has done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it.
Which, since he can fake it better, is why I can understand why they're fooled. I can't understand why they're fooled by Trump. Other than it's the grand illusion that God gives the world and it's the end times, the great apostasy is happening, then yeah.
A couple of things. And I have one of the greatest negotiators. I'm so proud of him. He's a great negotiator. He's smart and respected by everybody. Jameson Greer, U.S. Trade. Where is Jameson? He's around here someplace. Thank you, Jameson. Boy, he's good. We have a great team. We have a great economic team, a great military team. We have Raisin Cain helps Pete. Raisin Cain. General Cain, he wiped out ISIS in 3 weeks. I was told by General Mattis and General Milley, sir, it will take 5 years. I said, what? Sir, it'll take 5 years. I said, you mean we have the best equipment in the world, and we're fighting guys that use bad rifles, knives preferably. They're very good with a knife, but a knife shouldn't do it. And I said, why? And I flew over to Iraq, and I met a guy named Cain. I came out of the plane, and there was a handsome general standing there. I had 3 generals. I went there to find out why the hell we couldn't win the war. Why aren't we winning the war against ISIS? They've been, playing games with us.
So just to get my point, like, I don't believe that George W. Bush is a saved man, all right? But when he's giving his prayer breakfast, he says, in prayer, we grow in gratitude and thanksgiving. When we spend time with the Almighty, we realize how much He has bestowed upon us, and our hearts are filled with joy. We give thanks for our families. We give thanks for the parents who raised us. We give thanks for the patient souls who married us, and the children who make us proud each day. We give thanks for our liberty and the universal desire for freedom He has written into every human heart. We give thanks for the God who's made us in His image and redeemed us in His love. In prayer, we grow in meekness and humility. By approaching our Maker on bended knee, we acknowledge our complete dependence on Him. We recognize that we have nothing to offer to God, and He does not already have except our love. So we offer Him that love and ask for His grace to discern His will. We ask Him to remain near to us at all times. We ask Him to help us lead our lives in pleasing to Him. We discover that by surrendering our lives to the Almighty, we are strengthened, refreshed, and ready for all that may come. Now, reading this, I'm going to have problems with it. Notice he doesn't mention Jesus throughout the entire speech that I can see. But at least that is more Christianese. We're 20 minutes in, and I haven't heard a single Christianese thing from Trump. That's what I'm saying. There is a difference. There is a difference.
I went to see, and that's where I met Raisin Cain. I said, what's your first name? Raisin, sir? They call me Raisin. I said, what the hell kind of a name is that? Right? We've learned a lot about
what the heck again?
Now we get it. In this very quiet manner, he's brutal. Just ask Venezuela. Ask Iran. They're negotiating now. They don't want us to hit them. We have a big fleet going over to Iran. But so Raisin was there at the bottom of the plane. What's your name? Raisin. What's your last name? Cain. I said, so your name is, let's get this straight. Your name is Raisin Cain, right? Yes, sir. That's what they call me. You're the guy I'm looking for. And then he said, sir, if you'd like, you can go and sleep. It's a 20-hour trip. If you'd like, you can go and sleep. We have quarters prepared for you. I said, no, I don't have to sleep. I've been on a plane sleeping for I'm sleeping the plane. I don't sleep on planes. I don't like sleeping on planes, you know. I like looking out the window watching for missiles and enemies, actually. But he said, sir, we have a place prepared for you, and we can meet after you've rested. I said, no. Let's go right now. So we did that. And I said to him, they tell me it's going to take 5 years to defeat ISIS. No, sir. I said, well, how long would it be, General Kane? Sir, we can do it in 4 weeks. So what? We can do it in 4 weeks, sir. And I should have maybe a couple of weeks left over. I mean, you can do it in less than 4 weeks? Yes, sir. I said, well, how come they tell me, our television generals, as I call them, two very poor generals, I mean, these guys, they look nice, they were nice guys. They didn't have what it took, believe me. Yeah, some people have that. They don't have what it takes no matter what. I said, how come they tell me it's 4 to 5 years? And he said, well, I don't want to speak badly about anybody, so I'd rather not comment on that. I found that to be nice, okay? But I said, all right, tell me how you're going to do it. Well, sir, we use this one base here, and we're hundreds of miles away. And by the time the planes get to the target, they have to come back and refuel. And we're too far. I said, why do we do that? Because we don't want to offend any of the other countries. I said, we have a lot of portable airports, right, Pete? We have portable airports all over the Middle East, runways that are portable. You put them down, you take them up. We have equipment. Nobody has the stuff we have. We have airports that look better than Kennedy Airport. And they're built in sand. And it took us about 2 minutes to build them. No, the equipment is incredible. You can land any plane on them, right? Portable. And we've got many of them, sir. We have to use them. I said, why don't we? Because we didn't want to offend another country. I said, let me ask you a question. You're in the middle of the desert. Would another country know if we're taking off from some strip in the desert? They would have no idea, sir. They don't have radar. They don't have anything. So he explained it. So we want to hit them, sir, from 17 different locations. And we want to hit them left. And we hit them, here we go. And we want to hit them right. Sure, and we want to hit them from the top. And we want to hit them from the bottom. East, west, north, south. Sir, they won't know what the hell hit, and we'll knock them out.
What the heck again? 25 minutes, roughly. 25 minutes, not a mentioning, really, of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, faith. Other than saying it's a national prayer breakfast. No really mentioning a prayer. No Bible verses. 25 minutes in. But Paul White says he's the GOAT, chat. He's the GOAT.
We did it politically correct. 5 years. We'd call up the country head and we'd tell them, we'd like to attack ISIS today. As soon as the call was made, they'd call ISIS and tell them, you're going to be attacked. Get the hell out of it. This is what we were doing for years. But not with Raising Cane and not with Pete Hegseth, right, Pete? We don't do that. And we have a little different method. So I went back to Washington and I said, you know, this guy, he said, and then I checked up on him, and he was so respected. I said, he's really, like, respected. And I called him back. I said, General, go at it. Do good luck. God bless you. And he said, I say that to the people going out every time. And they say it when we give the okay for, like, the attack on Venezuela or the attack on Iran. He says, I say, we all say, we're all in a room together watching. We watch it. We watch these attacks. We always say, God bless you. All
right, 25 minutes in, finally, we all say, in the middle of attack, when, war, God bless you. What God?
Safe journey. It's a dangerous journey. These are dangerous journeys. Flying through the middle of Iran, they know you're coming, and you're in a B-2 bomber, the most incredible thing, and they weren't able to see it because it's stealth. So good, we ordered 20 more of them, brand new, updated version. I actually said, don't get the updated, just take the one you have. They said, no, sir, the new one's even better. We have a military. Nobody has a military like we do. I rebuilt it, by the way, during my first term. I mean, I think it's one of the best things I did. I rebuilt the military during the first term, and now we're really rebuilding the military, right? But the bottom line, I called him, I said, so you think you can do it, General? Yes, sir, I can do it. And it was over in 3 weeks. It was incredible. And I mean over. And then the election's rigged, and I wasn't there. And for 4 years, ISIS rebuilt. And they have a little bit of ISIS now again. And we knocked the hell out of them the other day in Nigeria because they were killing Christians. You know about that. They were killing Christians. So you can't do that. When Christians come under attack, they know they're going to be attacked violently and viciously by President Trump. I know it's not a nice thing to say, but that's the way it is. So we're also...
It's interesting. Scroll that back just a little tad there.
And viciously by President Trump again. And we knocked the hell out of them the other day in Nigeria because they were killing Christians. You know about that. They were killing Christians. So you can't do that. When Christians come under attack, they know they're going to be attacked violently and viciously by President Trump. I know it's...
When Christians come under attack, now obviously I know he's talking about people that are killing Christians, right? But he doesn't, it's just what he says. They will be attacked viciously and violently by President Trump. If he is the Antichrist, yeah, Carson. Yeah, I know that's not what he's saying. Or is it what he's saying? Right? Just saying.
And they have a little bit of ISIS now again. And we knocked the hell out of them the other day in Nigeria because they were killing Christians. You know about that. They were killing Christians. So you can't do that. When Christians come under attack...
When Christians... Now, I know in reference to the conversation, he's what he's saying, right? But man, wow. Just wow. If he is the AC, just wow. Yeah, Carson, Freudian slip, right?
They know they're going to be attacked violently and viciously by President Trump. I know it's not a nice thing to say, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, S90 in the chat says, nothing says prayer like talking about war and bombs.
To welcome
Brian in the chat says, Nigeria is still killing Christians, sir.
From more than 110 countries. They're here, and including one of my favorite people, President Bukele of El Salvador. He has been so incredible. He has been such a great ally of this country. Thank you very much. Such a great ally. He's, some of you have seen, he operates rather large prisons, like prisons that's so large you can't see from one side to the other.
His prisons are so large. Bukele's prisons are so large. My prisons are going to be larger. We're going to attack and kill the Christians in those jails. You beautiful Christians, you don't have to vote anymore. I've done so much for religion.
You have perfect 20/20 eyesight with binoculars. That's how long and big. And they do a job. They do a very humane job, but they're very strong prisons. And
they do a very humane job in CCOT. CCOT is the gold standard. Bukele, the forerunner to the Antichrist, Donald Trump. The gold standard is CCOT. Chat, they're just so humane in El Salvadorian CCOT prisons. Yes, Iveson's son says the prisons will be bigly. They'll be huge. The biggest prisons. $60 billion going to buy warehouses for the prisons connected to Amtrak's.
Present a lot of the people that we capture, the murderers, the drug dealers, the people that came into our country illegally and have already committed massive crimes. We had 11,888 murderers, and many of them are in your prisons right now, right? And he does a fantastic job. I mean, he really sounds like a different kind of, this is a religious breakfast. You're going to walk away and say, he's the meanest son of a gun I've ever seen.
He almost said SOB. He almost said SOB. This is a prayer breakfast. What? dude, like, please, this man is not a born-again Christian. This man might be the Antichrist.
The people that came into our country illegally and have already committed massive crimes. We had 11,888 murderers, and many of them are in your prisons right now, right? And he does a fantastic job. I mean, he really sounds like...
Is Bukele there? He keeps looking at Bukele. Is Bukele there at the National Prayer Breakfast? Does anybody know?
A different kind of, this is a religious...
S90, go look that up for me.
Breakfast. You're going to walk away and say, he's the meanest son of a gun I've ever seen. But I'm not. I just want to keep our country safe. It's very simple. We have to keep our country safe. So I want to thank you, Mr. President, for a great, amazing job you do with our people, too. They work together so well. Appreciate it.
He is there. He has to be there. Bukele was at the National Prayer Breakfast. Oh, could not. Oh, boy, I tell you what, chat. I tell you what, it was. This is when the time I stopped watching, and then watched a little bit later, around an hour or so. Yeah. Oh, Bukele.
Not easy. This prayer breakfast comes at a special time for our country as we prepare to celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence. And we're also very...
Bukele's father was a Muslim imam. His mother was Catholic. Huh. The Catholic Islamic Nayib Bukele.
Shortly going to have the Olympics and the World Cup. And, I got them. I was the one that got the Olympics, and I was the one that got, and I was so upset because I got them. I tried to move them up, but I couldn't. And my first term, I was getting them. And
oh, he spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast.
Obama would refuse to call the Olympics.
Oh, I somehow missed that. Oh boy, let me tell you what. I'm going to have to play that one, chat. Oh, this is going to be a multi-video series. Oh, he's talking about the satanic drug lords. Oh boy. Oh yeah. All right. Add that one to the list.
In all fairness, they took advantage of him. Remember, he went there. He flew all the way to whatever country, some beautiful country in Europe. And he made his presentation, and he ended up coming in last. And that shouldn't happen to a president. If you're a president, you have to get a wink. I'll go there, but are you going to give us the Olympics? Otherwise, I'm not going there. I don't want to. So he sat there, made a very nice presentation. He came in last, came in fourth place. So he hated those people. He won't say that, I don't think, but I'll say it for him. And so he refused to be involved with the Olympics. I got a call from Democrats. The Democrat mayor of Los Angeles called me. So we have a problem. We have a president that refuses to call the Olympic Committee. And I just won the presidency. I was president-elect. And so I wasn't even in office. And I called this gentleman from, I think, Denmark. Can you believe? They own a large piece of ice that we're negotiating for. Extremely, it's the biggest piece of ice in the world.
All right, everybody, we'll stop here around 30 minutes in. Hopefully I'll be able to continue this stream. Definitely gonna have to cover Nayib Bukele. His speech. Oof. Left the buy me a coffee link if anybody can donate. Try to get up $20 this evening. Thank you guys. God bless you. I love you guys. Pray for me. I pray for my audience. Just get ready. Just get ready because I saw it was breaking news. Not to sidetrack from this stream, but America has told through the Iranian diplomatic channels that if there are any Americans in Iran, they need to get out. Does that mean attack this weekend? We shall see. God bless you guys. Take care.